Thank you. First, let me thank all of you tonight as we prepare for homecoming, to the Chancellor and to all of the students, the leadership of this school. As I listened as the president of the student government talked, it reminded me that if you went back through the history of this school, what has made this school significant is that it was always the students that were on the forefront of what was going on at that time. The question is, as you go to homecoming in 2007, if you are part of the tradition of AGGIE that lead the times, or whether you're going to be part of the group that gets swept up in the times. Why do I say that? This is the first generation of blacks that may give his children less than what they had. What do I mean by that? Every generation of black people found a way to give their kids more than they had. Those that came to this school in the 60s came in the back of buses, couldn't vote, couldn't use a coffee shop, couldn't stay at a hotel, and by the time they graduated, they had turned the South upside down, where they could vote, they could stay where they wanted, they could do what they wanted. We have a generation now that can vote and won't vote, that can stay where they want, but don't know how to act when we get there. And that act like all the fighting is back in the day while you still in the day. I didn't come tonight to talk about back in the day. I come to talk about today. Because today we still got some problems, and the only question is whether you are going to stand up to those problems like the students on this campus stood up in their time. When we went into Gina and asked why, they said that you can't charge them for hate crime because the state law was you can't charge juveniles. Well, my question is, if they're all in the same school and they're all the same age, how is the white kids juveniles and the black folk adults? I don't support black students beating up white students. But what I support is one standard for everybody. And if we do wrong, punish us, and if they do wrong, punish them. But you can't live in a society where we are over-punished and people do things to us got punished at all. Now, since Gina came in the headline, we've had hanging nooses all over this country. They said, well, it was just a prank. Well, what is a noose? A noose represents when they lynched us and killed us. So that is why we had to deal with this, and they've hung nooses right here in North Carolina. We don't make the federal government hear us, then any one of you could be the next one of the Gina 6. They stop. Ain't no difference between Louisiana and North Carolina if the federal government will not protect the rights of our people. Now, I know some of y'all say, well, I went to Gina. Well, you can't win a fight in one round. People that fought in Greensboro fought and continued to fight until they changed things. You have got to fight to change things for you. When I went to Gina, when the parents of Michael Bell called me, I knew I'd be attacked for going. Even some black folks, they'd go Sharpton again until they get in trouble. Then they call me and want you to go again. I never understood how you get mad at somebody coming to help you unless you don't think you're worthy of being helped. But we must organize and continue to organize. And I hope many of you will join that November 16th. But let me tell you something. One of the things that you must deal with is in your own space. And I'm going to say some things that may unsettle some of you. But if we don't challenge each other, we're not going to grow. This is one of the most historic and proud black institutions of learning in the world. You have 11,000 students. Do you know that in the last city election, only 3% of y'all voted? Now, a lot of y'all say, I wasn't here. Good, you'll be here in November. It is a shame and a disgrace for you to go to college, claim you smart, pay tax, ride the highways, take out student loans, and ain't smart enough to vote to put people in office to make sure you got a job when you leave here. If I was a young lady, I wouldn't date a man who ain't got enough sense to vote. First thing every sister should do on campus, say, hey, baby, you look good to me. Ask him for his voter registration card. Because ain't no use in you talking about us getting together if you don't care enough about me to make sure that society protects me. Can't nobody love you unless they love themselves, and you can't love yourself if you're going to let everybody else make decisions for you. Right in this city, you got a black woman that's been the mayor pro tem, been in office 12 years, that could be mayor if just half the black students on this campus showed up and voted in November. And I'm not saying the university don't support nobody. This Sharpton speaking. Let the press blame me. The chancellor don't know what I'm liable to say. But I'm not supporting her because she's black. I'm supporting her because if people have shown they have the ability to lead, then we need to stand up and put them in positions to lead because our future's at stake. We must check ourselves. And we must correct ourselves. And we must love ourselves. And we can't let people allow us to do to each other what they don't allow us to do to them. Just that simple. Al, we got to have free speech. Good. Let's talk about everybody. And let me tell you something. As long as this is around, it don't matter who you are. Look at all of our black figures that they bring down. I remember years ago, James Brown helped raise me. James Brown became like my father. Kind of took me under his wing when I was 16 and became the father I never had. He had a son my age that got killed, and I became like his son. I remember in the 80s he got in trouble, went to jail. And I called a lot of artists that grew up imitating James Brown. Skip Austin, none of them would come stand up for James. I called Michael Jackson. Me and Michael was cool. I said, Michael, you should at least come down South Carolina, visit James Brown, do something. He said, well, it's a little too black, a little too controversial. But I lived long enough when Michael had to call me and James Brown. Don't ever think this thing can't catch you. Until there's justice for everybody, it's just a matter of time that it'll catch up with you. To college. So you're the best we've got. If we can't depend on you, who we gonna depend on? You the ones that broke out the hood and said, I can make a difference. You gotta make it for all of your friends that didn't get this far. That's why I don't care what they say to me when I go on TV. I'm speaking for guys I grew up that got trapped in crack and trapped in jail or killed in wars. That if they could speak, I'm going to say what needs to be said for them. You on this campus for the people you left back in your neighborhood that didn't break out. And you owe it more to them than to be up here just jiving and playing games. Have fun, but put some time aside and say, wait a minute, I got to represent. And I'm tough enough to beat the time, and I'm not going to let them turn the clock back. As I close, I go back to what the president of the SGA said. The power that you get, the power that keeps us going, is a power that we've always believed in more than what we saw. We are the people that came with believing in an eternal God, that if you stand up, God will hold you up. I was had today on my syndicated show, Senator Barack Obama, and I tell Barack all the time, I said, I like the title of your book, Audacity of Hope, based on a sermon by his pastor, Reverend Jeremiah Wright. I said, but there's one thing on the other side of hope. Hope is good. But there was a guy when I was growing up that used to say, Mr. Chancellor, keep the faith, baby, named Adam Clay Pryor. Hope is all right, but hope is a feeling. Hope is maybe tomorrow will be a better day. Hope is maybe my luck will change. Hope is maybe my ship will come in. But faith is a little deeper than that. In fact, faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things unseen. Faith is when the doctors give up, but you hold on for another doctor. Faith is when you got a pile of bills and no money, but you say he will provide all of my needs. Faith is when your friends walk out, when your loved ones don't know your name, but you say, I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me now. We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in his holy word. He never failed us yet. Grab the faith of your forefathers and shoot for your destiny. Rise up, our people, and be what God made us be. You're the new generation of Aggies. Let Aggies shine. Let the nation know we ain't going back. We are proud tradition. Come out of proud people that took nothing and shook this nation. We're going to shake it again. Thank you, God.